If you want to be a top 1% salesperson, make sure to follow these 9 steps to mastery. Starting in reverse, let's start with number 9, master the product. You want to make sure you understand your product, solution, or offer inside and out, and it's beyond what they can find online. In today's time, your prospect will spend a lot more time up front doing research to even see if it's a viable opportunity to have a conversation with you. So if you come to the table, if you know less than them, you're already at a disadvantage. So what that means is you want to know your product, solution, and offer inside and out, all the features, all the benefits, but also how it actually impacts your target market or your customer. Now, this doesn't mean that you want to get on a call with them and start spewing all this information, but the way you want to picture it, imagine if you knew every single thing to discuss about your product or solution, and then you only choose the specific things that's actually most relevant, most important for them. So for example, if you know there's potential 100 features that you could discuss with them, you don't want to tell them all 100. You want to choose the few specific ones that are most relevant, most specific for them. And the only way you can know which one to pick them out is by asking the right questions, but also knowing what all your options are, and you choose the right ones that are actually going to be relevant and useful for them. Number 8, master the target market. You want to understand who you're selling to at a very, very deep level. This means you understand their ins and outs, their pains, their desires, their hopes, dreams, and failures, their biggest fears, all their symptomatic pains, all their biggest concerns, their worries, and ultimately what's most important for them as well. What happens when you solve the problem and how it actually will help them with their overall business objectives. When you understand your target market at a very, very deep level, by simply getting on a conversation with them, asking deep questions, they should feel heard and they actually feel like you know how to actually help them. In order to do that, that means you must first master the ICP inside and out. This means doing proper research in advance. This means having conversations with current customers. This is you understand them at the next level. So when you actually have a conversation with them, they feel heard and they feel like you actually know them. The worst thing that can happen is you get on a call with them and they feel like you don't know anything about them. And thus ultimately, they're not going to trust the solution you offer them because they don't feel heard at all. Number 7, master prospecting and filling the funnel regardless of your role. The mistake many of you make out there is relying on someone else to fill your funnel for you if you are an account executive, or simply put, only prospecting when you feel like your pipeline is getting a little bit light. The reality is you can't control many things such as external factors, marketplace conditions, the economy, the recession, etc. All you can control are your actions and your attitude. And one of the key actions to control is prospecting. When you consistently prospect, this means your funnel is consistently filled with qualified prospects. So you don't worry if a deal gets stalled out or things get pushed out or there's external things you can't control, because you know whether you are making calls, sending emails, doing social selling, doing outbound messaging, etc. You're able to fill the funnel consistently regardless of what's going on in the outside world. And when you master prospecting, you develop a level of confidence that helps you eliminate some of that commission breath that you might have if you don't have enough deals in your pipeline. So if you want to be a top 1% rep, you must internalize the phrase ABP, always be prospecting. If you know how to prospect, you'll never go hungry because you know how to immediately fill the funnel up as fast as possible. And if you're an account executive that has an SDR or BDR team that's filling your funnel for you, just imagine if you fill your funnel first, then everything else that they do will simply be gravy on top. Number 6, master the sales process. The mistake many people make is they don't have a consistent, predictable sales process. So thus, every time they start a conversation with a prospect, it's really unknown what's going to happen. They don't follow anything. There's no methodology, etc. They're just kind of following to kind of see how it goes. And you can definitely do that, but what ends up happening is you also then have unpredictable results. So you want to have a consistent sales process that takes a completely cold prospect to a happy paying customer in the shortest and most efficient time possible. Now, there's many great processes out there, but I'll point out a few of the ones that I notice have the consistent criteria. I'll point out a few of the ones that have these consistent details that just make it very effective across the board, regardless of whatever you sell, whether it's software, hardware, any type of tech, consulting, B2C, whatever, does not matter. I find that most of these top processes have the same core components regardless. So for example, number 1, most of them are heavily questions based. Now, it's not questions based like an interrogation, but it's designed to actually truly seek to understand what's really going on in the prospect's world and to actually gain clarity. In fact, it's very, very curiosity based, it's inquisitive, and they see you as an expert simply because of the questions you're asking. Number 2, you're able to provide insight that is new and enlightening that helps provide clarity on why why their current problem exists. Number 3, the process uncovers a current state where they're currently at and a future desired state, whether it's wants, needs, and desires to solving big problems. It's a very clear gap between the two. Number 4, you're also able to show the simplest and clearest path to their end goals. Number 5, to also be able to show that the value of the solution they offer far exceeds the investment of the actual solution that's being sold. And also to be able to masterfully and artfully handle objections and dive in deep. So regardless of whatever you sell, that's a pretty consistent sales process across the board of the top 1%. The next step to become a great salesperson is number 5, to master executive conversations. The mistake many people make is they get very comfortable with lower level managers, directors, and even VPs. But when it gets actually to the C-suite, are you able to have the level of acumen to hold your own in that conversation? Are you focused on small little problems, or are you focused on helping them achieve the big overall initiatives for the business and what the biggest priorities are for the organization? When you master executive conversations, they feel as if they are speaking to a peer. And you can tell because now when they're asking you questions about what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because they truly value your opinion. They see you as a person of value because you are able to master those executive conversations. And it goes beyond just what you say. It's also how you say it. Also goes to how you write, what you write, how you communicate with them across the board. And I want you to imagine that level of executive acumen goes all the way from the very beginning when you first start doing outreach all the way through close and onboarding, etc. Everything you do will either contribute towards your level of executive acumen or detract from it. So the more they feel you're someone of value and you can actually help them and they feel you're at the same level, if not above them, the more likely they actually are to work with you, but also to actually partner up with you for whatever you are selling. Number 4, master multi-threading. And today's times, even with small deals that are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K, up to deals that are millions of dollars each year revenue, oftentimes there are many decision makers involved. It's very rarely it's gonna be just one. It's usually gonna be 2, 3, 4, 5, if not more people who are part of the buying process. And you want to understand who those people are because each of them play different roles. And your ability to navigate and orchestrate how things work together is very, very powerful. And the truth is, in a lot of organizations, depending who you talk to, they may not necessarily have a linear process of doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G to get to a closed deal. Oftentimes, because it involves multiple people, they're unclear as well. So you have to become the quarterback of the opportunity. You need to be able to guide who's involved, uncover who those people, who players are, and move them throughout the process to go towards the same end goal of helping solve a major problem and being someone of value for them. And as deal sizes go up, the better you have to become at actually multi-threading. The mistake many people make is they only have 1 or 2 people involved in the deal. They call them champions. And ultimately, what ends up happening at the very end, they realize that they do not have the right people involved in the deal, such as the C-suite or other key players, and now the deal gets stalled. And in times of recession, you'll see the C-suite is often involved in many, many deals, even if the solution seems like a very small investment. So the better you are at multi-threading, starting from the very beginning of the opportunity all the way through, the better it's going to be for you to actually close those deals fast and at larger amounts. Number 3, master belief shifting and influence. You must become a master at converting a latent need to an active need. If you don't know the difference, let me explain exactly what that is. An active need is someone that actually has a problem or issue they need to have it solved. Usually at that point, they're going to be calling in, looking at websites, opting in to have a conversation with you, opting in for a demo. Those are pretty obvious. They're ultimately looking for the best possible solution. Those are going to be a small percentage of people. Then you have people who have a latent need, which means they have an underlying need, they're just not fully aware of the need. And only if you actually focus on uncovering the latent need are you able to convert it to an active need. Now, average reps can only sell people who have an active need. That's really easy. They're already going to buy with somebody. Why not you? This is what I call an order taker. That's very easy to sell to. If you want to become a trusted advisor, you must become a master at shifting beliefs and influencing them. So what that means is you need to be able to be incredible at discovery, uncover need, and provide insights in your sales process so you're able to take that latent need and actually make it active. And let me give you a really, really simple example. If you ever owned a car, you probably had to take a car in for an oil change. Now, let's just say, for example, if your car was driving completely fine and you went to get an oil change, you're sitting in the lobby, and then inevitably, at the very end, the mechanic comes out and they'll come into the lobby and they might say, hey, you, like, we just got done your oil change. Oh, by the way, we need to replace your windshield wipers. We need to do a steering wheel flush. We need to replace X, Y, and Z. It'll be $700 more. Do you want to do it? Most people are like, whatever, especially if they've been driving the car and there's been no problems at all. There's no active need. They're like, whatever, we're totally fine. Now I want you to imagine, same situation, you're sitting in the lobby, they come out, your car's still driving fine, and they say, come with me, let me show you something. And they take you into the garage bay and they pull out your windshield wipers and they show it's all frayed. They show you, hey, listen, Marcus, you live in Oregon, look how frayed these are. This is why it's so hard for you to drive at night when it's raining, etc., because smearing everywhere is very dangerous. Interesting. Now what they're doing is they're taking a latent need that I wasn't even thinking about and they're converting it into an active need. They might go and show me the tire depth. Hey, Marcus, take a look at the tire depth. It's supposed to be at the very minimum 4/32 of an inch of tread. Take a look at this measurement. You're at 1/32. This means if it's wet out, it's slippery because it's in Oregon, if there's any type of ice, you're not going to have any traction. It's actually very dangerous for you and your family. Saw the car seat in the back. Interesting. Again, convert a latent need to an active need. They pull out, sometimes they'll pull out even, like some black fluid that they pulled out from whatever. Hey, this is pulled out from your steering wheel. If you continue to drive this way, it's going to fall apart. It will cost you $5,000 to $6,000 to replace this X thing. So now what's happening is they're taking a latent need and they're converting to active because of their process. And this is how you must be like as a sales professional, in which most of them are going to have a latent need. And your ability to ask deep questions, uncover, and show them where their current state and their future desires state, there's a massive gap. And you're able to help shift their beliefs of, I don't have a problem, to, this is a major problem, I need to make sure I get this taken care of, so they'll actually take action. And the top 1% are a master at doing this because they're able to shift someone who is in inaction mode to an action mode. As a great mentor told me at one point, he said, Marcus, imagine you have 100% of prospects. 10% of prospects will always buy no matter what. Those are easy. That's why even the worst rep usually has at least a 10% closing ratio. Then there is a 10% at the very bottom. They'll never buy. No matter how good you are in your sales process, how much pain they have, how much emotional logical pain you create, they will never buy. That's the bottom 10%. Then you have the middle 80%. And your ability to actually shift beliefs and run an effective sales process and do some of the things we mentioned before is going to take that middle 80% and convert even more. And that will take you to 20, 30, 40, 50% and beyond by simply being a master of doing the simple thing, which is shifting those beliefs. So if you want to be a top 1% salesperson, make sure you are a master at shifting beliefs. Number 2, master self-accountability. Take personal accountability for everything involving your sales role. This is from your pipeline, your sales process, your territory, your calendar, everything. It's so easy to blame, I got a bad boss, I got a bad territory, I have a bad tech stack, I have bad leads, I have bad prospects, I have bad whatever, the recession's bad, the economy's bad, etc. You can definitely blame all those things. In fact, some of them might even be true. But if you do not take 100% ownership, then your situation will never change. Because you have to remember, in every situation, your circumstances only determine where you start and not where you go. This is why if you look at your current company, there's almost always going to be someone who's still crushing it. And if you work at a really, really big organization with hundreds of reps, you'll see there's always going to be a percentile of people who consistently crush it regardless. And the common theme, they all take 100% ownership of everything. So if you haven't made that shift yet, my challenge to you is to shift to 100% ownership for everything. If you don't get enough training, then go get the training. If you're not happy with your boss, how can you influence up to your boss? If you don't have enough pipeline, what can you do differently about your pipeline? If you're not good at cold email, how can you improve your cold email? If you're not good at cold calling, how can you improve your cold calling? If you're not good at handling objections, how can you improve overcoming objections, etc., etc., etc. When you start taking 100% ownership in everything that you do, it's amazing what you end up achieving because you now know if it is to be, it's up to me. And the last one, number 1, is master self-growth. You must constantly grow and enhance your sales skills and the value delivered to the marketplace. At the end of the day, you are paid in direct proportion to the value you bring to the marketplace. If you're not happy with what you are earning, you must increase your level of value. This ties into my last point, is taking that self-ownership, because even the top reps, the top 1%, they are constantly investing in improving their sales skills. When you look at the top athletes of the world, whether it's basketball, football, or any type of sport, they are constantly investing in themselves, working on themselves to become better and better at their game. In fact, they spend 99% of their time becoming better at the game and only 1% actually playing the game. This is the difference between an amateur versus a pro. A pro practices more than they actually play. An amateur plays more than they actually practice. And they rely on other people to help train and develop them. The absolute top elite salespeople are constantly focusing on their own self-growth. They are a student of the game. They are constantly learning, growing, getting mentors, getting coaches, and finding ways to differentiate from the marketplace. They know that their level of success is ultimately tied to their own level of growth. As a great Jim Rohn said, when you work hard at your job, you make a living. When you work hard on yourself, you make a fortune. So if you want to be a top 1% salesperson, you must constantly be growing every single year, removing the ego and focus on ultimate growth for yourself. So there you have it, 9 tips to sales mastery. Now, if you want to become a master at cold calling and completely overfill your calendar, I'll see you in this next video right here.